All right, everyone. Well, week nine's in the books, and what a week it was. Our week of rivalries didn't turn out the way I had planned at all. Get this out of the way. I went 3-3 on my picks. Flipping a coin again, and now stand 26-16 on the season. But let's get to a little in-game analysis. Even though the final point spread for Quincy and Jake was 121.6 to 120.2 based on some stat adjustments. It went into Tuesday of this week as a 120.3 to 120.2 win for Jake. And it was the closest win I had ever seen in all my days of playing fantasy football. Tenth of a point. That's 1 yard. 1 yard came down to separating Quincy and Jake. But due to some stat corrections, it actually turned out to be what is that? .6. So it turned out to be in 6 yards. Jake picked up 6 yards in stat corrections. So 0.6 of a point, I should say. So Jake takes the win over Quincy in the battle of our number one teams. But both Jake and Quincy remain on top of their respective divisions. I, on the other hand, it came down to Monday night where Rick had Cedric Benson and T.O. playing against Chad Ocho Crapo, as he's now called. And you can see how my thoroughly I'm disgusted with number 85. If you look at the recent transactions, he is sitting there. I actually dropped his ass, and I picked up the Detroit defense of all people in order to cover for the bye on my Green Bay Packers. I've had it with Ocho Cinco. Rick ran by me like I was standing still. T.O. gets 2 touchdowns. Cedric Benson gets another touchdown. What does Chad Ocho Crapo get? He gets 1.5 points. He gets 15 yards, and that wasn't until the fourth quarter. I have had it. He's yours. You can take him. I overpaid for his ass. He's done. Goodbye. Any rate, good job, Rick. Good job, Jake. Both Rick and Jake stay 1-2 in their division. Quincy and I stay 1-2 in our division. And there's your top 4 teams if we're heading into the playoffs today. Looking through the rest of the league, North Macattack gets back in the win column over Mike Bolden by a good 11 points. Nads on top of the Deceptions. Jed, you're wasting some good players down there. I wish you'd start paying attention. But at any rate, Grandpa's still with trouble putting points on the board. 72 points only. Oh, my Lord. And Mean Machine. Mean Machine's got to be the hottest team. Let's look at that record right now. Or that, look at there. Mean Machine is the hottest team in our league right now with 4 wins in a row. And he is moving up the charts, now sitting number 5. Sitting number 5 in the overall rankings and number 3 in the gold division. Taking a look at the Notre Dame USC update. So I was wrong. Notre Dame had a bye last week. A bye. Sorry, you guys. I was a little surprised you guys didn't call me out on that. But yeah, they had a bye because they needed to rest up because they're going to play Utah this week. Playing Utah. They're flying out here on the West Coast. They're going to play Utah. But they had the bye last week, so they didn't lose. Nice work. SC, on the other hand, played Arizona State here in the Coliseum. They won by a point. It was quite a barn burner. It came down to a blocked extra point. It was returned for a touchdown by SC, good for 2, and they ended up winning 34-33 over the Arizona State Sun Devils. Up next for the Trojans are the Arizona Wildcats in Tucson, Arizona. We're still tracking for that November 27th game here in the Coliseum between the Irish and the beloved Trojans. Army stands in the way for Notre Dame, and I think Oregon State remains to be played for the Trojans heading into Thanksgiving Day weekend. All right, so the bye. NFL is finally coming around. There's only 4 teams on bye this week. The Pack, the Saints, the Raiders, and the Chargers, all of them sitting out this week, so make your adjustments accordingly. The other thing the NFL is starting to do is mess with us fantasy players. You notice that tonight, they put their first Thursday night game out there. And right now, as I do this here recording, it is Baltimore 21, Atlanta 20. Atlanta with the ball. 50 seconds to go in the fourth quarter, so it's almost over. But now you got to start contending with Thursday night games because you're going to get them. I think you're going to get them next. I think you're going to get them here on out because you got the holidays coming up. You always got Thursday night games there, but now with this NFL network that nobody can ever see because it's not carried on any cable systems, you're going to get a game. So make sure that you get your picks locked in before the Thursday night contest. Okay, so let's get back to our Week 10 prognostications. Well, a little unfair right now because some of these teams have an early start, but let's go ahead and do it anyway. I'm gonna have to start doing my updates, I guess, on Wednesday nights. So I play Mean Machine. Again, not a good time to play Mean Machine. They are hot. They are streaky. Right now, Mean Machine with 9.9 points, but that's no indication. It's Carson Palmer, I think, is making all the difference for Tyson. Palmer's finally starting to come around. Plays Indiana this week. I don't know about that one. Indianapolis, I should say. Calvin Johnson against Buffalo. Richard Mendenhall is having some great runs. That's got to be helpful as well. But they run into New England this week, and Ahmad Bradshaw against Dallas. So Bradshaw should have 600 points in and of himself. Cincinnati defense goes against my man Peyton. So Peyton's numbers are really off this year, and it's due to all those freaking injuries up there in Indianapolis. And as a result, Peyton's points drops dramatically. I haven't been able to score points at all. It's in my other league. I'm actually dropped 5 in a row, and Peyton's my man there. Any rate, Andre Johnson against Jacksonville. Adrian Peterson against the Bears. Jamal Charles against Denver. I'm going to give the nod. To smell this. I'm going to have to write these down because I can't record my votes because games have already started. So, looking at Nads versus MudDawgs. This should be an interesting matchup. This is the brother-in-law feud right here. This is Paul versus Rick. I know these guys go head-to-head in cooking contests. Let's see who's going to come on top in fantasy football. And right now, Paul's up top with 3.9 from Michael Turner. That's not a good production from Michael Turner. You need to count on double points from him, double figures from him. You're only getting about 4 from him. So terrible night. And you got to get Drew Brees on bye. So you got to cover for him. I think it's a good. You picked a good week to be playing Paul, Rick. Matt Schaub against Jacksonville. Jacksonville's got a terrible defense. Terrell Owens against Indiana, and he's got 2 touchdowns. Brandon Marshall against Tennessee. I'm going to give the nod to the MudDawgs. Here we go. No more nod to the Nads, much as I like that joke. Blue and gold against the Rednecks. This is this is Jake against Dawn. Come on, let's put all the voodoo on Jake. I'm going to pick Jake to win. Rednecks got Brett Favre against Chicago. Favre's got 2 broken ankles and the chin. He got popped in the chin hard. But good starts nonetheless. Steven Jackson against San Francisco, interesting. Ryan Terrain against Philadelphia, interesting. Michael Vick against Washington with the start. LaDainian against Cleveland, oh snap. And Frank Gore against St. Louis. Ooh, you know what? I gotta give Jake the win on this one. As much as I want to just knock him off his high horse. Anyway, 8-1. That's obscene, Jacob. In your first year of fantasy football, I might add. Team Quincy out to a blistering start over Veronica. Veronica's got 2 people on bye, and Quincy's got 1 right now. But Quincy's got Matt Ryan. Wow. And Quincy's going to get... So Quincy gave me quite the beat down here in L.A. Over the weekend because of the loss, right? So Quincy has been starting Joe Flacco. The only time Quincy has lost this year has been when Joe Flacco hasn't been available, or I've recommended I pull Joe Flacco out. I pulled Joe Flacco out on Quincy last week. Flacco had 39, and Matt Ryan had 30. And Quincy ended up losing by the slightest of margins, so it was all because of me. Any rate, didn't catch the Thursday night game here on Quincy's team. He's got Matt Ryan in the starting slot. Matt Ryan's got 50.1 points for Team Quincy. And we'll have to see how Flacco does. Now watch, Flacco's going to end up with 52, and Quincy will end up losing by a point again. And it'll all be my fault. Any rate, I'm going to give the nod to Team Quincy because I know that Matt Ryan is a better start than Joe Flacco, and that's just the way it is. Deceptions on top of Mike B, 36.6 to nothing right now. But Mike, you need to cover your quarterback and Garrett Hartley. As luck would have it, Deception's got everybody playing this week, and they're looking tough. Roddy White was a questionable start. He's posted 25.8 for Jed. And Derek Mason has posted 10. You know what? I'm going to give the nod to Deceptions, the autopilot team. All right, and then in our game of the week, Girard Invincibles versus North Mac Attack. This is Grandpa versus Mr. Alex. Alex at 4-5, Grandpa at 1-8. Got to get Mason Crosby covered, and Grandpa has got 11 points out of Anquan right now. Right now. Mr. Alex, Ray Rice has posted 10 so far, and Gonzalez with 3. Baltimore defense was 7. You got 21 points out of 3 players. That's not a good ratio. That's, let me do the math, 7 points a player on average. Brady against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has got powerhouse defense. Roy Williams on the Dallas Cowboys is hobbled because he's got no quarterback. Percy's got a headache again. Percy Harvin. You know what? I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to give the win to the Girard Invincibles. All right, so one more time. Bye weeks are Packers, Saints, Raiders, and Chargers. Get those team sets. Let's look at the playoffs real quick. So as we always say, the top 6 make it. You got to win your division to be one of the next best 4. Quincy on top of the Cardinal division. Jake in control of the Blue and Gold division. And then I round out the top. Well, then the remaining 6 are the MudDawgs, Smell This, Mean Machine, and Mike Bolden. Nad sitting at 7, and Veronica Bolden sitting at 8. We'll talk to you soon. Never mind the uproar out there. The natives are getting restless. Oh, God.